Welcome to another episode of Real BMX Racing, the podcast. Today's episode is sponsored by Wrenchman Racing, Wrenchman Wheel Builds, Recycles Bike Shop, Eddie Blocks, 110% Nutrition, Extreme Squared, Artistic Apparel, with a special shout out to Toby Henderson over there at Box Components. Today we have USABMX's 17 to 20 girls expert, women's expert, Jacy Moore.
I guess let's just dive into it. I won't take too much of your time. So, Shannon, you want to start us off?
Yeah, I guess so. Let's just take it from the beginning. How did you start riding bikes and racing bikes?
Well, I was 8, about to turn 9, and a friend from school was like, "Hey, we ride BMX at the local indoor. You want to come check it out?" And I had no idea what BMX was, so I'm just like, sure, why not? I had one of those like 40-pound Walmart bikes, heavy tires, everything. I was like, sure, why not? And I don't remember if I went with them or my family met up with them at the track, but like walked in there and it's just blasting music, everyone's hanging out, all like, the fast riders going and jumping and everything, and I was just like, God damn, like this is sick. And I get, just hooked for like, I guess I was just hooked from the start, like right then and there, because I guess, I've played basketball, and I guess I just wasn't really a fan of like a team sport. I like being very independent, and obviously that's what BMX is. So I was just like, I can go at my own pace, my own speed. So it was just super cool. I was the first one to start, and then my dad and my brother got involved. So it's super cool.
So what track was that you started at?
Peninsula Indoor BMX. So it's this hoodie that I have on, and
I've seen that before.
Yeah, it's the track that my parents run. It's just like a 700-foot indoor.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Very cool. And how long has the track been open for?
Quite some time, like probably like in the 90s, in 80s, but then like we took over probably like 8 years ago. So yeah, it was super cool. We volunteered at first, and then we eventually just said like, hey, like we'll become the track operators of the track, because the old track operator was like, I can't do this anymore, which we get, like, that's understandable. So we just took over, and it's super cool now.
Do you have access to an indoor track? That is amazing.
Right?
Yeah.
Right.
Cool.
I mean, there's only a handful left in America,
Yeah.
So.
Very few.
How old were you when you first started jumping?
I would say probably like when I was like 10, because I always rode with dudes, and they're just like, just go do it. And I just like, I obviously wanted to prove a point. I'm like, I can do it better than you. So, I just, I just started when I was like 10, because there was really no other girls to ride with. And so I was just like, why not? Let me just go see if I can jump a double. I don't care if I nose case it or something. Let me just see if I can do it.
Heck yeah.
So I just always get pressured by the boys since I was young. So super cool.
Nice. That's pretty cool, because like I'm 45 and I'm like, nah, it's not happening at this age, not for me.
Yeah.
Shannon jumps over here, so he'll take it up there. For me, I'm like, ground lover.
If I jump, it's by accident. I don't jump. I don't know what he's talking about. I don't know who he's seen and who he mistaken me with, but if he ever seen me catch air, it was totally by accident.
Yeah.
Right? Just like I'm like, if you see me manual, that's just total gravity doing its thing. That's not me.
That just happened. I did not force that.
Right. So, okay. So when you're not racing, what are you doing in your downtime?
I mean, mainly just watching BMX videos. Just watching like a lot of older like World Cup races, and just like from 2014, 2012, just all that cool unique tracks, I guess, because there was a lot of unique tracks back then. So me and my brother, well, basically my whole family likes to go watch older races, watch my past national races, and riding mountain bikes and all that stuff. Just still bike related, just not me personally doing BMX on my downtime.
Okay.
Have you ever watched any like early 80s BMX videos?
I have watched a couple.
Okay.
It's completely different. It's still super cool to watch those old videos though. That's like real, like BMX. Real
Oh yeah.
stuff.
Oh yeah. Go on, Shannon.
So what type of bike do you ride?
This Speedco Velox 3.
Okay. So let
The
me ask you
carbon.
a couple of questions about your bike, and let's do like a bike check
Yes,
type of
sir.
thing. So let's start. How tall are you?
I'm 5'4". Yeah, 5'4".
And what size frame are you on?
A Pro XL.
Okay. And what size bars do you run?
7.5 Stay Strongs.
Okay. And what do you have your stem upright or do you flip it? I see a lot of people flipping their stem now.
Yeah, I have like the tangent top load stem, so I flip it, so it makes my bars like 7 inches.
Okay. And what about crank length?
170s.
And of course you're clipped in, so.
Yep.
Have you ever heard that you can run shorter cranks being clipped in than with flats? Somebody told me that, and that was like the first time I heard it. And I meant to ask a couple other people if they've ever heard that. It kind of
I've
makes
never
sense.
personally heard that, but I can understand why. I mean, in some cases.
Okay.
Yeah, I've never personally heard somebody say like, "Oh, you can run shorter cranks." Yeah, but I can see why.
And what about tires? What size tires do you run?
I ride a 1.75 Tioga Faster X in the front and a 1.6 Tioga Faster React in the back.
Okay. And how much do you pump them up?
85, like 80 to 90, I guess, depending on the material of the track and how hot it is, or how whatever the weather is like, or how the track material is. Usually if it's like a track like Rock Hill or something like that, I will pump it up to 90.
Got you. And I'm sure have you ever had a tire blowout? It's like when the bike was in the sun or when it was
Yeah,
too hot.
I've had plenty of those.
I'm
I've
sure.
had, I wouldn't even say, maybe like, I'm pretty good about like, keeping my bike covered, because I know like that always happens to tires. But like recently at a national in Oregon, I had like my tire, I think my front tire like popped like 3 different times within like 30 minutes. And it was because like, either like one of my nipples was broken. So it was like just hitting the tube, and like my rim tape was kind of like peeling off. So I was just like, what's going on? And then it's just, because it was pretty hot there. I'm like, and they're just like, oh, it's just the heat. But it ended up being like my nipple being broken.
So yeah,
But
that happened.
that was pissing me off.
I was that happened. That's what happened to one of my buddies. Like, I think he did the same thing with the what are those light tubes?
Oh,
Those
the
tubes.
tubalitos. I remember that.
Yeah, he had the
Yeah.
tubalitos. He put it in, does his thing. Like 10 minutes later, poof.
He blew like 3 of them, like $100 worth of tubes in like 5 minutes. I remember that, bro.
We were just still like,
Yeah, it's not even worth it. Those two burritos can go quickly, and then you have like the, I guess, like coolant to kind of like, not waste a $40 tube, and it still pops.
right?
Yeah,
So,
I stick to rumble tubes because whatever. I guess wait, because they're like, oh, the 2 burritos are lighter, and I'm like, is it really that worth it though? Because 2 burritos pop
Yeah,
a
I
lot
know.
more.
So what's like the worst malfunction you had on your bike at like a big race at like the worst time?
Well, speaking of tires popping, I was going, I think in the Bakersfield National in like 2020, or yeah, it was that national. I was literally just walking up to the gate, and my tire was just completely flat, and I didn't even know it, because like I just walked up all the way to the gate. I'm like, my bike, because in Bakersfield there's like a lot of like needles, and like there's like little things that just pop your tire, and everyone just carry your bike. So I carried my bike all the way up to the gate, basically right before my moto was about to get staged behind the gate, and my tire was completely flat. And I'm like, are you serious? So I ran back, took off my brother with his front wheel on my bike, but then his wheel was also like deflating.
Oh
I
my
had to
God.
I just had to pump it up. Like his wasn't fully popped, so I just had to pump it up to like 90 and just say whatever. Hopefully I don't eat it.
right. Dang, that's
So
crazy.
I never really had like any other like malfunction. I mean, knock on wood, but yet to have anything easy that's like been on the track, I guess.
Yeah, all right.
Do you run the same gear on every track, or do you change it up depending on the track?
95% of the time I run the same. I mean, unless it's like a big hill or it's like Vegas. I guess I drop down a little bit, and then the big hill you want to go up. But I never like go to a track and then be like, oh, I need to like switch it out like, 7 different gears, see which the right one. I'm just like, I guess I have to be a little faster or just push through it. I'm not really picky. I mean, it's standard like 40-inch rollout. I mean, 54-inch rollout. Ugh. So like standard. Just
Right.
yeah.
I think we should stop right here for a second.
Basic.
We need to pause this because the connection is bad and I don't want to continue. We should maybe stop it and start it again. Everett, what do you think? Because we could always edit this and
Right. Yeah,
you're just starting to break up and I don't want to have the same situation as before and
Oh.
So I'm not sure. Can you
Yeah, sounds good. Whatever you guys need to do.
I think you just need to check your connection on your end. I'm not sure. Like, I know there's a way to check how much you're connected. I don't know if you can do that or know how to do that. Do you know how to do that, E?
Nah. What if we
Or just
I'll log off and then she can log back in and then I'll come in third. It'll change the ratings of us, but she might be number 2 in and I'll be number 3.
I mean, however, yeah. So I just stay on and you guys are gonna log off and log back
I'll
in?
log off and then she can log back on and then I'll log on right after that.
Okay.
Sounds good.
All
Okay.
right, let me figure
All right,
out.
see you in a second.
All right.
All right.
So I'm still recording. All right.
I think I'm good.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I just like I know my int's good, so I don't know if it just goes in waves. I don't know.
Yeah, it still sounds a little. Hold on, let me know when she's in, then I'll log in. He's about to pop in. We'll see how it acts once he's in.
All right. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
There we go.
So it says we still recording on your end, right? I think it says end, so I guess.
I'm like, that's what I just heard. It said recording.
All right. Let me ask you a question, Everett, before we continue. Are you hardwired into your computer?
Who, me?
Or are you running off of Wi-Fi? Yes, you.
No, I'm running off Wi-Fi.
Yeah, same here.
Same.
Yeah, my internet's downstairs. I'm upstairs.
Okay. I was just wondering if there was a difference. All right. Because yours is smooth. You haven't really chopped out. I mean, like froze up or anything yet. Like this.
No.
And you see yourself clearly, right?
Yeah.
I mean, just yeah. All right. I see myself more clear than all you guys.
Right.
But all right.
So all right. Well, I mean, let's just go and see what we can get. You know. So
yeah.
What was your first big bike as far as like name brand?
I got a like one of those like white DK rippers. It's just like a whole complete bike and all white. And I had that for a pretty long time. Like it even got like too small for me at times. So I had to just put like bigger and bigger parts on it. Bigger cranks, bigger bars, bigger tires. And then I finally got to like one of those SE Ripper frames.
Okay. Is your dad considered to be one of those factory dads?
Not at all. I mean, he's he's into it, and I think he tries to be involved, but he's not like one of those like know-it-all factory dads that want to like, I guess, like change everything and do all that. He just goes with the flow.
Do you work on your own bike, or do you have somebody else doing it for you?
95% of the time I work on it, unless it's like kind of messing with my disc brake. My disc brake gets it pretty annoying. So when it comes to that, I like ask my brother, I'm like, can you just do this? I can't. Like I get frustrated. Or if it's like changing like a tire or a tube like on my front wheel, because it's one of those carbon rims that are like thicker. So they get to be a pain with the tire irons. So I'm like, can you just do this? Like I'm gonna throw the tire irons across the garage.
Right.
I finally learned the trick to that, to get it. You're talking about getting the tire actually on the wheel, correct?
Just on and off. It's
On
just
and off?
annoying.
Yeah, they are. But I finally learned the trick. Somebody taught me the trick, and it makes life so much easier, I swear.
So you're just not gonna tell us what it is. You're just gonna tell us you know.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, it's a secret. I mean, I'm sorry, it's a secret, not a trick. I have to charge people for that. No, but I mean, if you take the tire and pinch it all the way around, it's going to bring it into the most shallow part of the rim. So then you have more room to work with. It's not going to be stretched up and pressed up against like where the rim kind of flares out, or rises up on each side. So just if you press it and pinch it all the way down the middle, all the way around, you'll be able to either get it on or get it off a lot more easier.
No, that makes sense.
Yeah, you can actually put it on by hand without even tire irons, most of the time. Some tires are like that, but yeah.
I'm not probably gonna call cap on that, but that's cool.
No, you're not.
But okay. So anyways, what's your favorite movie?
Talladega Nights, or I mean, I'm just a fan of that because it's just like the old race car and all that type of stuff. I mean, I don't even like that's like my only like, I guess like favorite movie, because some people are like, oh, I have plenty, but I'm more of a fan of like, I guess like, well, I guess I could say like the Marvel series and all that. Like, oh, that's super cool. But I can't really pick a favorite, just like that whole series.
Right. It is pretty good. I haven't seen the last two because they're always on TV, but I never catch them at the beginning. So I'm always like, I can't start that yet.
Exactly.
So while we're on movies, have you ever seen the movie Rad?
Yes, I have multiple times.
Oh, have you?
Yeah, I've actually, the guy he's came to our track. Sheepdog, he's came to our track plenty of times.
Okay.
When we had like the Rad Racing the movie shirts, and he signed a bunch of shirts for all the kids. It was super cool.
Nice. All right. I mean, you could continue with your weird questions. Go ahead. I know he's about to ask. That's why.
So last national, you were at the Blackjack National, correct?
Yes, sir.
I saw you did a 1-3-1. So what happened on Saturday?
Well, me and the other girl, Kira, she was in gate 1 and I was in gate 7, and they have a fond of putting me on the outside gates a lot of nationals this past year. So I'm just like, okay. And on that track, it was not a great track. I mean, there was a lot of negatives about that track, and everyone agreed. I don't know if it was because of the dirt they used or something like that, but the corners were like supercross whoops. Like it was so bumpy, and the rhythm section was like triangles, so like you couldn't even like manual or anything. But you know, I got into the main event and I'm like, okay, there's no way I'm gonna beat her to the first corner because it was super hard to get over that first jump and everything like that. So I'm like, oh, you know what? And on day one, I made the move on her in the second corner by just going that inside and hoping I don't crash and just hoping we both stay up.
Right.
And then on Saturday, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna let her go and I'm gonna try to like what I should have done is instead of like trying to go around her and obviously when you're in the moment you have milliseconds to think about what you're gonna do or just do something and hopefully it works.
Right.
So what I tried to do was use my bike skill and all my momentum on the outside of her and try to carve around her. And obviously, she made the right move of pushing me up, blocking me. And in out of turn two, there was a bunch of like potholes like in the corner. So like you would try to like, I guess, pedal out and your whole back tire would just skip because it just hits a pothole. And so when I tried to like I guess, avoid her back wheel. My front wheel hit one of the potholes, skipped right into her back one, and then I just had to unclip. I'm like, I can't go anywhere. But I mean, I still think it was a great race. I got back on the pedals, didn't even worry about getting clipped in, and just still pushed for third, which
Yeah, that's right.
could have dropped back to fifth, but still pushed it all the way through. But what I should have done was like move out way more on that second straight and like do an X pass, like cut right underneath her and then block her on that third straight. But it was a good race. Like I thought it was a good race. And I told her like that was awesome. She blocked me completely. She did the right move. Because in the past couple races, like when I'm in that position, I've been able to carve around her just because I have really good cornering skills and I can just get down low and carve around them.
Right.
But she's gotten way better at just just pushing me up, and rightfully so. So, but it was just my mistake, just in the moment, and you can't really be mad about it. I guess you learn from it. So,
Right. Right.
So do you have a favorite gate?
gate 3, gate 6, and 8. I mean, I like gate 3 a lot because you're not on that far inside to where you're gonna get like pushed off the track if you don't get that perfect gate. But then you're also like not like right in the middle to where like you don't get pinched. So I've been a fan of that one. Every time I get gate 3 at a national, I'm like, all right, here we go. I'm set. And I like gate 6 because it's kind of like the same situation. You're not on the outs. You're not completely on the outside, and you're not in the middle. But I like gate 8 a lot because I can get out and then move the whole pack of riders if I can get out and go, especially if it's on an open track.
So when you
Those
get
inside,
when you
those
get
indoor nationals, I like inside for sure.
so when you get a gate that you don't like, does it mess with you before you race?
I don't think so. I mean, like, I guess for a second I'm like, oh, damn, like, especially if it's like a gate that I didn't practice on in practice,
Mm-hmm.
because you only get like 20 minutes of practice at a national. So I guess when it's a gate that I didn't practice on, I'm like, oh, I don't know how it feels, but I'm just like, it's just a gate, It's
So at
no
what
different than like, it's no different.
so at one national, I decided to not look at my gates. And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
you know what? I'm just gonna go up there. They're gonna tell me what gate I go in, and I'm just gonna go in the gate, and I only have a few seconds to think about it, So
Yeah.
and it worked. It like worked
Yeah.
for me. So yeah.
Yeah. A lot of the time I'm like, I look at my moto number and then I see like who's in it. And then I'm just like, okay. Like I sometimes I don't even look at my gates too. I'm just like, I walk up to the guy and he's like, okay, you have gate 7. I'm like, okay, I guess I have gate 7. Guess
It
I just
works.
gotta go from there.
Right. Right.
And
I
and
think it works like a lot, like you said.
and so lights or sound, like as far as the beep at the gate, what do you do?
A little bit of both because I still tend to flinch if I hear a sound, I guess. But
Okay.
I'm definitely watching the lights and obviously I'm still like listening to those beeps too. So because it usually goes off at the same time. But I definitely react when I see red for sure. Not usually when I hear that first beep.
Okay.
Nice. So in your head, when you're doing international, do you have a song in your head that you play to get yourself kind of pumped up when you're getting ready to go up in there?
I mean, yeah. I mean, I kind of am a fan of like rock and like, hip hop and all that stuff, but I am a fan of this
Oh no. Oh no.
I forgot who um Sam Willoughby listened to it all the time.
Oh,
Can you hear me, Shannon?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah, I think
Okay.
she's reconnecting. All right.
There we go. So okay, so I'm gonna ask again because I think that whole thing got kind of missed right there.
Yeah.
So so when you go up in the gate, is there music that's playing in your head? Like what gets you amped up to go?
Rock, hip hop. I do like the song Sweet Dreams by Marilyn Manson. Because what really got me into that is because like Sam Willoughby did a podcast on Coffee Chatter, and he was like, they asked him kind of like that same question, like, oh, like, this was like in 2017 or something like that. He was like, oh, what, like, what type of music? And he was like, instantly, he just said like Sweet Dreams by Marilyn Manson. Like, and I listened to it, and it's like a slow rock, but it's so good. So I'm just like just a fan of that. Anything that's just rock, hip hop, anything that's, I guess, more upbeat. But I am a fan of that Sweet Dreams song. Super, super good.
One of the weirdest things that I heard was that Kobe would listen to the theme song to Michael Myers on loop before a game. That was his music.
Really?
Yep. That yeah, he just listened to
I can see that. I mean,
that.
that's what's funny is I can totally see him doing that.
Right? Like that was his go-to just on repeat. And he would just listen
that.
to it over and over and over. We're just like, okay, that sounds a little nuts, but then that's what you're looking for.
I mean, everybody has something. I mean, it worked,
Right.
I guess.
Right. So what was your biggest crash?
I guess I've had a couple. I mean, I guess the biggest crash that kind of like, I guess, put a lot of effect was Grands last year in NAG 5. I crashed off the first jump and I got carried off in a backboard. And went in an ambulance to the hospital and everything like that. So I ended up being okay, but I guess that crash more messed me up. I guess mentally because I hurt my shoulder and all that stuff. Over time that heals, but I think it mentally messed me up because it's just like I couldn't even race the Grands. And that's what bummed me out is I had to go to the track the next 2 days and just watch all my other competition race.
Yeah.
And I'm just sitting there like bummed out and just like I could have been up there, I could have been racing. But it just, that I think I've had crashes on the big hill and all that stuff, but I end up being just fine within a couple weeks, just taking some rest. But that one really bummed me out because I just had to watch everybody race while I just sat there, and I'm just like, dang. And yeah, like that's just what sucked a lot. But I ended up being okay, like, a couple weeks later, but hit my head pretty good. Obviously you need time for that. But
Right.
that was just like a mentally like, damn, that sucks,
So that was the
I've
Grands
never had anything crazy though.
And that was the Grands that just passed, correct?
Yes.
So that was the first Grands I've ever been to, right? So come Sunday, and I noticed I was walking around. It looked like a war zone. I mean, people on crutches, people head bandages, slings. I mean, people in wheelchairs. Is it like that every year? Yeah.
Yeah, usually because obviously comes Sunday, that's like make or break, and
break.
People push
Everyone's
past
trying to get in those main events and they don't care how they do it. They just want to get into it, especially when you get to those experts. They don't care. So, but they all think it's like just awesome. And I'm like, you're like in a wheelchair and you're not walking, but okay. And it was like, yeah, this is sick. But no, I totally agree with you. It does like look like a war zone on Sunday.
Like the vibe is totally different. It's not like exciting anymore. It's like you're kind of sad. You're looking around like kids are crying, people didn't make names and it was just, it's just.
It sounds like one of those things where when you're young, you look at it, you're just like, oh man, this isn't cool at all. But it just goes in and out. And when you're older, you look at this and you just start reevaluating your life. Like, I really need to be riding this bike. Like, I don't really do nothing for me. So why am I here? Just other than that, it's the Super Bowl of events.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool. So what number did you end up with at the end of the year last year?
I ended up with which I'm surprised with because I didn't even race the grands. I still got NAG 6 and National 75. So nice. I think I don't know if I was going in NAG 1 or NAG 2, but if I was going NAG 2, it was like 1 or 2 points apart. So, anybody could have taken it. But for not racing the grands or getting any extra bonus points, I still got NAG 6 and National 75. So I was just like, okay, cool. I got 2 plates.
Nice.
So
yeah,
it's just super cool.
With you being like red hot and continuing it on to have like a monster year this year, when would you be looking to turn pro?
After grands this year, I've made a decision with like my brother and my family saying like, you know what, no matter how grands happens, good or bad, I'm just going to turn pro because I raced Reno on Sunday and I did the UCI and there wasn't enough, girls in total to like have separate classes. So, all of the girls, junior, U23 and elite all got put together. And, I held my own in there like pretty well. One of the rounds I had, in like the second round, it was like me, Elise, Delaney Vaughn, Olivia Armstrong, and Manuela Roldan from Florida. I think it might have just been us, like just that 5. But I held I don't know what I was doing in that second round. I don't know what was in my head, but I was on the outside of and Delaney's fast. So obviously they're all fast.
Right.
And I had no expectations, I guess race that whole day in UCI. I'm just going to do my thing, see what happens. I get to race the pros. Let's see how I do,
Right.
And
the taste of it.
Yeah. And I came out of the gate and all of a sudden I'm behind Elise. And I'm just like, I'm in second coming out of the first corner. What do I do now? Let's not freak out.
Right.
And so I ended up getting I beat Delaney and I beat Olivia and I beat Manuela and I'm just like, God damn, what was going on in that lap? What did I just and I guess I wasn't even scared to get in the gate with them. So I think that was a big I guess deal breaker if I'm ready to go or not, is because I was just like, let's do it, let's because I wasn't expecting to win, obviously. So it was just super cool to get in the mix. I ended up getting 5th in the main. And I was probably in 3rd or 4th going into turn 1, and you have a tight first corner, anything can happen. So it was super cool. I mean, everyone's I think that makes your decision very clear that you're ready to go pro. And I'm like, yeah, I mean.
Yeah, when you can hang with Elise, it's time.
Right.
Yeah.
And you were right on her. I saw that lap that you're talking about. I was like, oh my God, look at her go, man. Yeah.
Thank you. I mean, it was just super cool to be a part of it, All the girls are super cool. It was just, obviously in the moment, nobody talks to each other, but after racing, everyone's super cool. So it was just a cool experience.
I was gonna say, that's what I was going to ask you. So what's the vibe different between 17 to 20 versus you riding there with the pros?
Nobody talks to each other. I mean, I've been in that situation before of racing UCI Sunday, so I know how it is. I know none of them nobody talks to each other after the races. Nobody tells each other good job. Everyone just grabs like their seat post extender and just leaves. But then after everything's done, the podium pictures and everything, that everyone's super cool. So I mean, everyone's there for the same reason. Everyone wants to win. Everyone wants to get good scores. So
Right.
everyone understands, doing their own thing. But it's definitely different because, after a race in 1720 women, everyone's just like, hey, good job, talking at the finish line. And then I guess I'm so used to that I was almost trying to talk to like, Olivia or something at the finish line. And I'm like, oh, I don't think I can do that. Because they're just going and doing their own thing. I'm like, well, guess I learned the hard way, don't talk to them.
I mean,
But
is there such thing as being too focused before a race? And I'm asking that because at the national race, I think it was at the Harvesty, right? That passed in, I don't know, a couple of
yeah,
months back. Anthony Picardo, right? So I'm watching videos on Instagram and
yes,
on Facebook, and you see the pros coming through, and no, like you said, nobody's talking to each other. They're in their own world. They're super focused. They got their bikes. They're heading to the gate. Anthony, and then I see Anthony Picardo. He's on a line bike, jumping around the city. I mean, having a ball, just super relaxed, super cool. And he just comes out smoking fast and passes Cam Wood on the rhythm section like he's nobody. It blew my mind. And I'm like, you know what? I was just thinking that's because he's just really comfortable and happy and just like, he's not too focused, And I'm just wondering, like, is there such thing as being too focused on, don't you have to relax
yeah.
just a little bit,
I think being too focused does negatively affect you because when you start being too focused, you end up thinking about like both the good and bad that could happen instead of being like, let me just go ride my bike and have like do what I like to do, do what I love. Like I love riding my bike, let me just go do it. And I think that's what Anthony like I guess has a mindset of. I mean, obviously Anthony has had some I guess bad races and good races, but I think he figured out that rhythm section at Tulsa pretty good because like you said, he just blew by Cam. I don't think Cam even like realized like what happened.
I
All of a
watched
sudden
that race
Anthony's
like 20, that
yeah,
moment like 20 times. Like, what
yeah,
happened, bro? He just threw on the afterburners and just was gone.
yeah. All of us were watching at that national. We're all in the first straight, and you can just hear everybody starts going, oh, oh, like like because you just see Anthony slowly start catching up, and then it's just like once he hit the rhythm section, he was gone, and everyone was just like, oh my god, like he just acted like Cam wasn't even there, and I mean Anthony is a very like I guess welcoming dude. He'll talk to anybody. He doesn't care who you are. He'll just talk to anybody, and he has he gets focused, but I don't think he tries to get too focused. He has time and place. I mean, I know he's getting focused when he's behind the gate, obviously, when he's going up there. But like you said, you just see him going and riding a Lime scooter all of a sudden. And then 20 minutes later, he's going up for his moto. Like, I think he just likes having a good time. And, when you're too focused, I think sometimes you forget that, you're doing something that you love, which I guess I've learned that too, I would start to like, I've always been told like you need to be focused when you're in staging and all that stuff. And I'm like, yeah. And then I would start focusing up and then I'm like, okay, but like what if this happens? And then I would start thinking about good and bad. And then, it's the bad thing that happens to where like I get a bad gate or I slide out or unclip instead of just let me just go ride my bike and not think about anything. So yeah, I just think
What's your favorite track and why?
I like Nashville a lot because it has that longer first straight, but since you have so much speed coming out of turn one, that the rest of the track kind of feels like nothing. Because the rest of the track isn't crazy long. It's like your average, I guess, outdoor size. But since that first straight, you have so much speed. You have that really big tabletop that's like 20 plus feet long. But you have so much speed that going around the rest of the track just feels like nothing. Like everything feels so small because of how fast you're going. So I'm a very much of a fan of that track.
Okay. Okay. What's your least favorite track and why?
Ooh, I mean, I wouldn't say I have a least favorite. I think every track kind of has like some flaw in it.
All right, well, then let's go with your most difficult. What's the most difficult track for you?
I mean, I think I love Tulsa, but I think it's the most difficult because that's not something that I usually ride. So I have the bike skill for it, obviously, but going there and having to know, like, okay, I have to do all this bike skill that it's like a mandatory, like you have to. You can't just like, oh, but what if I just pump over it? It's like, no, you kind of have to jump or manual something. And that rhythm section's pretty technical too, like it's pretty lippy, and so it's like being a perfectionist through it, like, or else you just completely slow down and mess up and lose a position. So yeah, I love the track, but I think that's definitely my most difficult one to, like, I guess, ride on for sure.
So when you
Yeah.
get to a track, do you like sit there and analyze the track and try to map it out? And all right, I'm going to do this over here and try this over there. And
Yeah, I mean, especially if it's a track that I have never rode before. Like those, like the indoor tracks that just get freshly built, and like grands and stuff like that. I'm always just like looking at every single straightaway, like, okay, like what am I gonna do over this jump? And yeah, I definitely just map it out all the time,
would,
just so I can go into practice and be like, okay, like I said I'm doing this in my head. I've already looked at it. So now let me just go try it. So I kind of just get an idea of what I'm gonna do.
and what about you look at other riders and how they're approaching certain obstacles? And
Definitely. Especially those riders that are at my level. I always look at what they're doing, and obviously in some cases it's just because they're doing it doesn't mean it's like faster for you to do it. And that's
Right.
always something that I've thought of, like, okay, like this girl in my age group is doing this, but like if they're jumping that, is it faster for me to manual it? Because some girls jump something, or like anybody, they can go jump a jump, but if you manual it, it could be faster, especially if they're like skying it.
Right.
So I always analyze them. I'm not like one of those type of people where I'm like, Mom, video them, or like, video the other riders. But I definitely pay attention, like what they're doing over that first jump out of the gate, and because you just want to make sure that you're doing what they're doing, so they don't have the advantage on you for sure.
How often do you train?
6 out of the 7 days in a
Ooh.
week. Some days are more than others for sure. Sunday is usually like nothing. I guess you have some days that are lighter where it's just like, oh, just sprints today, but some of those days it's like you got gym, track, and sprints, and you're just like, oh God, this sucks. But yeah, 6 out of the 7 days in a week. Sundays, then nothing. You
So
don't get to do anything.
are you full-time BMX, or are you also in school too?
Well, I was in public high school all the way until like mid junior year, and then the high school that I went to, it was just a mess. Like I was just like, I cannot do this. So I switched to full online, and it ended up being like way beneficial for me, not just because of BMX, but like my schooling was way better. And but I just graduated this year, so
Nice.
now it's full time BMX until the fall. So
And then what? What's happening in fall? Where we going?
doing just online college, and
Okay.
getting into like Fire Academy in September. So that would be super
Nice.
cool.
I thought you were gonna say, I think it's what, Merriam College that has like the
Yeah,
racing.
there's a couple. There's like Marion and CMU, and like a couple. I think there's like one or two colleges in Missouri that have it. But I was just like, I don't really want to go to college for cycling. I'd rather just stay home, do the college requirements online.
That's cool.
So do you have a coach?
It's my brother. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah, cuz like there's a lot of like coaches, especially like in Europe, that do I don't even know if in Europe, but there's just you can buy like programs. So we've kind of we've tried out a few programs. We have like Greg Romero's whole program.
Okay.
Um and all that. And then we kind of just like, I guess, take all the information that we've gotten over the years. And my brother has like a whole training plan and we do it together. It's like track work, sprints, gym. So it's just a whole plan that we do. And so yeah, everyone's like, "Oh, does JC have a coach?" And I'm like, I mean, yeah, if you want to count my brother as it, then yeah.
And what team does he ride for?
He just got a sponsorship by Fly Race, just Ray.
Okay.
He just has his own personal sponsorship with that.
Nice.
And I see he got up on the podium recently.
Yeah, in Reno, it was super cool. He was so hyped. It was awesome.
I'm sure he was.
Who are you looking forward to most once you go pro to race against?
Mackenzie Gayhart, just because she is. I mean, you got to watch out for her. I mean, if she's behind you, if she's behind anybody, she's gonna try to pass you. I mean, she has really good cornering skills and getting in on that inside. So as a racer, you have to know that. If you get ahead of Mackenzie, guard your corners because she'll most likely just all of a sudden you'll probably just see her ahead of you. So I think that would just be super cool because she's a fantastic rider, and all those girls are. I mean, I'm just super excited just to go see how I stand up to them, like on the big hill after I get more practice in, and just other pro nationals, just see how I stand up to them. See if I can get in the mix, get into a main, not expecting it, my first pro race, but it'll be cool.
So was Mackenzie always good in the corners like that? Or do you think Drew helped her out a little bit?
She's definitely been her own. I mean, obviously we know Drew's like amazing at corners and always finding a way to make a move, but Mackenzie was definitely good at that herself.
Okay.
I mean, I wouldn't doubt if Drew was like, do something, but she's always been, good at finding those inside lines and making those passes, block passes.
So I seen she posted something like new bike day. Again, it seems like every 3 or 4 months she has a new bike day. How often do you guys change bikes?
I mean, personally, I stick to one bike. I mean, I feel like if I change my bike too often, I mean, she rides, it's like the same radio. So it's just like a different paint job, So
Right.
It really can't ride any different. So, but for me, it's like, I don't think I can just go ride, even if it was like the same Speedco frame, just a different color. I don't think I could ride it just because it's not the bike I've been riding, Like I need to ride my bike and how it looks, how it's been all year, or else I feel like I'm not gonna ride as well. Some people just get different bikes all the time. So
who are your current sponsors right now?
I'm on Impact BMX, which is based out of Vegas and ran by Makiva Hobson. And we have sponsors with Fly and the JNR store, which is like I wouldn't say it's like JNR, but we like I guess get them off of JNR with Speedco and Maybo. Nice. So we kind of have all that, so it's super cool. And we have a couple local sponsors on that team. I have like Hydropower, which is a hydration mix, which it was a they reached out to me saying be hyped to get a BMX rider on the program. So I have that, and then I have the Airwave mouthpiece, which is like for weightlifting, and I use it when I ride. It helps me take in more airflow.
Nice. Think about that.
I've seen a couple of guys with nose strips.
Yeah.
I asked him about them if they helped, and he's like, I don't know. I just put it on. I think it does.
I mean, I've personally have won those a couple times, like especially in those like indoor nationals where it gets super dusty. Um, I don't really think it helps that much because it just falls off all of a sudden. It doesn't stay ever. But I think it helps like when it is on. Definitely just helps you breathe a little bit more. But it just falls off all the time. Doesn't stick.
Now, when you're not doing the nationals, are you still riding like the local races and everything while you still can?
I mean, I try to. Usually it's pretty hard to get a class out here, to even race if it's not like some random class. I race the locals to get my bonus points in, and that's usually it because I usually have to help out. So it's like either like I'm doing staging or something like that. So when I have to, I'll race, but I usually just, get in those practices, and I race the state races and all that if it's a decent drive. So yeah.
Shannon, you got anything else?
Yeah, what state are you in now?
Washington State.
Okay. A lot of good riders come out of Washington and up in that area. Every time
Yeah,
that I get in the gate with a guy from up there, I'm like, oh, dude, I gotta watch him, man. I just know
there's
they're
plenty
fast.
of great riders up here.
All right, I got one more question, and it is: when the lights go out and it's all said and done, what do you want to be remembered for in this sport?
I mean, just being like one of the pros that anybody can come up to and just talk to me. Obviously, time and place, but always willing to talk to the kids and hang out with them, but still being able to go out there and either be on the top of the box or be on those podiums, and being on those podiums at other countries and other races across the world. So, but just being that overall rider, talking to the kids, hanging out with them, taking pictures, acknowledging them, but then also, going out and performing.
Do you wish? Oh, and I'll do a follow up. Do you wish that in the near future they come up with a women's vet pro?
I think that would be super cool. I don't know how many girls would do it or how, but I think it would be cool to get something like that going, especially as the years go on. You're going to have more pros, female pros. So I think that would be cool. But who knows who would do it, but they should definitely think of that. That'd be cool.
Nice. Shannon, you got anything to add?
Oh, that's it. Thank you so much for coming through, man.
Thank you.
Thank you guys.
And yeah, this is definitely a lot better than the first take. So this is what we're going.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
Sounds
and
good.
We'll probably end up posting in probably like what, week?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Sounds good.
I'll send you a message, let you know when it's out there.
Awesome. Thank you guys. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Jacy.
All right. See ya.
Bye-bye.
Have a good one.